Nadia Walters had mastered the trick of vanishing in plain sight, claiming the middle seat on overnight Flight 447 to London. Hood tugged low over eyes that hadn't truly rested in years. To her neighbors, she was another anonymous, overworked traveler. Then the captain's voice cracked over the intercom, tight with strain. An unknown aircraft was pacing them like a hunting cat, and someone asked that chilling line, "Is there any fighter pilot on board?" 200 souls would soon learn their quiet. Seatmate wasn't ordinary. Quick break. Where are you watching from tonight? If you're into stories like this, make sure you're subscribed. Late light stretched across JFK's tarmac as passengers boarded the red-eye, that familiar pre-flight buzz rippling through gate agents, families, business grinders, and sleep-starved regulars. Nadia drifted with measured ease, her faded jeans and oversized Northwestern hoodie helping her blend. At 37, she carried a paradox, shoulders wanting parade rest, forced to slouch, eyes that swept with precise habit before deliberately softening into disinterest. "Welcome aboard," the gate agent chirped, scanning her pass. Nadia's tired smile didn't reach her eyes as she stepped onto the jet bridge. The cabin thrummed with that specific hum, bins thunking shut, checklists whispered, seatbelts snapping, impatience mixing with routine. She slid into 32B, the dreaded middle, accepting it like camouflage. To the window sat Marjorie Fowler, a perfumed conversationalist clutching a paperback. On the aisle, Daniel Burke hammered emails, jaw locked, the look of a man sprinting through airports for a living. "First time to London, dear?" Marjorie leaned in, airborne small talk already liftoff. "No, ma'am," Nadia murmured, tugging up her hood. "Just tired." The older woman huffed and returned to her novel. Nadia's polite distance was deft, discouraging without bruising feelings. 3 rows ahead, the Aldens wrangled logistics with veteran diplomacy. Tom and Sarah negotiated with their 9-year-old twins, Eli and June, about who'd own the window at takeoff. Sarah caught a flight attendant's eye, the apologetic parent look that promised effort, not miracles. The crew moved with choreographed efficiency, but a different undercurrent threaded their motions tonight. Lead attendant Jenna Morales exchanged a glance with colleague Rob Haynes while counting heads. They'd clocked 4 uniformed soldiers earlier, homebound, hollow-eyed, 1,000-yard stares softened by exhaustion. Yet Jenna's attention kept snagging on 38F. A man with a hood low despite warm air, oversized sunglasses inexplicably on for 20 minutes. He'd barely spoken while boarding. His carry-on had hung heavy, muscles straining more than a simple backpack should demand. Captain John Rayner stepped from the cockpit, silver hair, weathered calm of decades in the seat. At 60, he'd flown evac routes through hurricanes and danced around ash clouds. Clear forecasts tonight didn't match the pebble of unease rolling in his stomach. Good evening, folks." His voice, warm and steady, filled the cabin with that pilot cadence that says everything's handled. 7 hours 20 minutes to London. Smooth air expected. We'll have you into Heathrow on schedule. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Beside him, First Officer Aaron Peters frowned at a ghost on his scope. "John, you seeing this?" Rayner leaned. "What am I looking at?" "Possibly nothing. Contact at our 740 miles, rapid closure, now gone." "Keep an eye," Rayner said, casual tone masking attention. In 32B, Nadia looked asleep, breathing slow but not surrendered. Fingers inside her hoodie pocket twitched occasionally, muscle memory of gripping something no longer there. Marjorie peeked, unsettled by the younger woman's stillness, without knowing why a steady center can feel ominous. Pushback began. Tug-whir, engine cough, familiar clicks. The safety video rolled. Phones clung to last signals before airplane mode exile. A sudden metallic thump from below cut through the hum. Heads lifted. Jenna seized the intercom, voice reassuring, eyes darting. Cargo shouldn't thud like that. In 38F, the hooded man, manifest name Mark Sloan, likely not real, stiffened. Sweat dotted his brow. He pulled the bag down for something, but tucked it under the seat instead of returning it overhead. Too careful, too practiced, not random, nervous fidgeting. The 777 lined up. Rayner walked the aisle. Odd at this phase, but he played it as a last pass. Soldiers, family, honeymooners, retirees, power suit nomads. His gaze paused on Nadia, feet planted to move, hands positioned like a switch. He knew ready stillness. Sue, flight attendants, prepare for takeoff, Peters called. Throttle up, building whine pressed everyone back. The city fell away, a jeweled sprawl tilting to darkness. 20 minutes in, belts off, carts rolling, routines reclaiming the cabin. Books, movies, headphones, sleep acting rehearsed but unconvincing. Nadia's eyes stayed closed, while her mind ran math it hadn't forgotten. Climb angle, engine note, heading drifts. Old habits don't die, they pace behind the ribs. Helmet weight, G-forces, a wingman's voice in static. Memories she pushed down with measured breaths. Outside, if anyone looked exactly right, a shadow slid along parallel track at mismatched altitude. Eli had a tablet. Marjorie buried her nose in paper. A darkness passed unseen. In the cockpit, Peters again. Stronger return. 20 miles. Closing. Not scheduled traffic. Decom. Might be military drills, Rayner offered, but controllers usually gave heads up. The first real jolt hit an hour in. Not gentle chop. Violent lateral shove in clear air that shouldn't do that. Cups leapt. A tablet clattered into the aisle. A hush, then scattered gasps. June whimpered. Sarah soothed. Nadia's eyes snapped open, body settling into the motion. Feet widened, grip precise. Not panic's clamp, but engineered pressure. Marjorie realized Nadia wasn't swallowing fear. She was calibrating. Different animals altogether. Ladies and gentlemen, Rayner began, strain bleeding through velvet. Unexpected turbulence. Please return to seats. Seatbelts fastened. Crew, be seated. But weather radar was clean. No shear, no cells, which meant external forces, wake, shock, or something worse, were touching them. In 38F, Sloan strangled his armrests, knuckles chalk white. Sweat gathered as he muttered in a language that wasn't the crisp American he'd used earlier. Tyler Jameson, a college kid, leaned away instinctively. You good, man? Regret followed the question immediately. The hooded head turned. Behind the dark lenses, terror flashed. Too soon, he whispered to himself. They weren't supposed. He cut off, yanking his bag closer. Jenna clocked it from her jump seat. 15 years had wired her instincts to red flag this exact cocktail. 10-year-old, no, 9, Eli Alden pressed to the window glow. Mom, there's another plane, really close. That's nice, honey, Sarah said, attention split by June's tremor. Tom leaned over, saw only stars, then a shape, gone before his brain finished framing it. Probably another commercial, buddy, Tom murmured, but kept watching. Nadia, tracking that exchange, shifted for an oblique angle through opposite windows. Her trained eyes caught faint reflections of nav lights that didn't belong, moving in a pattern, wrong for scheduled corridors. Another shove, rolling oddly, sent hands to sick bags. Not weather. Wake vortex, spiraling air left by another aircraft. No airliner should throw this wake so near at this height. Nadia's gaze mapped causes. Nervous 38F, crew tension. Puzzle pieces slid toward a bleak picture. Jenna unbuckled against the sign, bracing on headrests toward the cockpit. Knock, 3 short, 2 long, urgent, not yet catastrophic. Rayner cracked the door. Captain, 38F is off, really off, and he flinched before the bumps like he expected them. Rayner's jaw set. We're being shadowed, he admitted low. No replies on any frequency, even guard. Jenna paled. If someone ignored guard, they couldn't, or wouldn't. Quietly watch him, Rayner said. No panic. She nodded, masking vigilance with service smiles. Back in 38F, the hooded man clutched something blocky in his pocket, thicker than a phone. Nadia watched Jenna's shoulders tense, and the grin that didn't meet eyes. She noticed the man's watch, a pricey military chronograph, odd against otherwise bland clothes. Another passenger had noticed. Jack Carver, retired Chicago PD, shifted for a better line on 38F. 20 years had taught him where trouble incubates. The plane lurched harder. A few oxygen masks dropped, then zipped back, wrong without pressure loss. Panic gathered like kindling. Technical irregularities, Rayner said, voice fraying. Remain seated. We may adjust altitude. Translation for pilots. We're maneuvering evasively. Nadia heard the words he didn't speak. Whatever shadowed them was testing limits and inching meaner by the minute. 38F bolted, seatbelt sign be damned, and locked himself in the lav. Jenna reached the door too late, ear pressed to metal, muffled arguing with no one visible, radio or phone. Carver slid to block, posture casual, readiness not. He met Jenna's eyes. I'm here. Peter's voice sharpened. He's matching every turn. This is deliberate. Rayner had seen near everything, hijacks, sick infants, engine failures, but this script was new. Squawk discreet distress, he ordered. Static returned, then an accented voice. Maintain heading and altitude. Comply, and none will be harmed. Nadia chose. The sleep act ended. Her posture sharpened, authority radiating without volume. Marjorie whispered, You're not just tired, are you? Those eyes, steady and old, answered plainly. In a moment things may shift. Keep your head down. Follow crew instructions. Promise? The lav door snapped open. The hooded man, face pale, shirt damp, scanned wildly, then locked on Nadia. He recognized the posture, not the person. He backpedaled. Carver blocked. Sir, back to your seat, Carver said, in a tone that tolerated no debate. You don't understand, the man blurted, Eastern European edges surfacing. They're coming. The package. They want the package. What package? Carver asked, but the man slid past, practically sprinting to 38F. Rayner edged into the aisle, calm facade wrapped tight. His eyes tagged 38F, Carver, Jenna, then Nadia. Recognition, not of her name, but of the type. Military carried itself like gravity. He retreated cockpit ward, mind racing. 2 hours to a safe field. Unknown tail, inside wildcard, comms compromised, options shrinking. The plane shuddered, and this time everyone saw it. A high-pitched whine, followed by a lash of light across the nose. A flare, warning, not hit. Screams erupted, prayers in several languages braided together. Soldiers snapped upright, training, flaring without weapons. Nadia closed her eyes, breathed once, and stood. Everyone stay calm and seated, she commanded, voice cutting cleanly through panic. Crew, emergency protocols, now! A hush fell, like the cabin was holding a breath. Rayner, halfway out, felt equal parts relief and apprehension. He moved to her, words low. If you can help, we'll take it. Lieutenant Colonel Nadia Walters, she answered, controlled and quick. Former F-22, 94th Fighter Squadron. Tell me everything. The name flickered recognition. Stories pilots tell over late drinks suddenly wore a face. Unknown aircraft shadowing, cutting comms, jamming, maybe, fired a warning. Nadia's jaw set. Eyes skimmed exterior angles. How long shadowing? 90 minutes. Show me radar, she said, turning to the cockpit. Louder. Everyone remain seated. Crew, secure loose items. Prepare for possible maneuvering. At the door, Rayner hesitated. Can I trust you? Your record, how you left. In 30 seconds, they'll make another pass, she said. They're studying your responses. I'm the only one aboard who understands their playbook. Question me later. Use me now. Decision made, he opened. Peters blinked as a passenger stepped into sacred space. She's a fighter pilot, Rayner said. Show her. Nadia's posture altered. Civilian veneer gone. There, she pointed. They're holding just outside TCS thresholds. Whoever's flying knows your system's cold. The radio crackled, accented demand again. Descend to flight level 180. 2 minutes to comply. 18 puts us perfect for forced landing at small strips, Peters said. Or mid-air boarding, if they're ambitious, Nadia finished. Rayner scoffed. Impossible. Twice on record, she said. Both with inside help. Your 38F knows something, she added. In the cabin, panic simmered. Sloan curled around his bag. Carver arranged himself to watch man and cockpit both. The Aldens held their kids. Sarah's reassurances thinned to threads. The soldiers spread into quiet, protective positions. Marjorie whispered prayers, paperback limp in her lap, eyes flicking to the empty middle seat. In the cockpit, Nadia worked the problem. Key guard for 3 seconds, release, then 2 short taps, she told Rayner. It's a non-verbal distress pattern. Someone might hear. Who? Start a shallow descent, she told Peters. Look compliant, but stretch it. Buy time. For what? For me to find out what they actually want, she said. I'm talking to 38F. Dangerous, Rayner warned. Everything is. She paused at the door. Don't go below 15,000, whatever they threaten. Nadia walked the aisle like she belonged, pausing to reassure, eyes always moving. She reached 38F and knelt. I know you're scared. I know they're here for you. If you don't level with me, everyone pays. What are you carrying? He stared, then cracked. Codes, he whispered. Satellite override keys. Nadia's blood chilled. With those, hostile actors could retask, blind, or crash orbital assets. Who's they? Grey Wing, ex-military, mercenary, their leader Shisidi. His throat tightened. Used to be U.S. Air Force. Like you. She felt the deck tilt. Call sign? They call him Phantom. She knew the voice behind that mask. Mason West, her former wingman, brilliant and reckless, gone missing after the classified operation that ended her career. He knows her tactics. He knows she'll protect civilians. Oh, stay seated, she told the courier. Don't grandstand. She moved to Carver. Retired law enforcement, she said. Chicago PD, he replied. I need you to babysit 38F. If he tries anything, destroy, transmit, bolt. Stop him quietly. No panic. Understood, he said. Who are you? Someone keeping this aluminum tube alive. The aircraft heeled left, harder than before. Passengers on port side saw a dark silhouette rise, too close for comfort. The cabin rippled with screams. The soldiers coiled. Nadia reached the cockpit as Raynor stepped out. They're right beside us, he said, calm fraying. Trying to force us down. Let me talk, Nadia said, flipping to guard. Grey Wing Flight, this is Lieutenant Colonel Nadia Walters. Mason, talk to me. Silence stretched. Then a voice she hadn't heard in 5 years. Older, sandpapered, unmistakable. Well, Viper, saw the manifest. You really flying coach? Peter's eyes widened. She knew them. Whatever you're getting paid, Nadia said, it's not worth risking a cabin full of innocents. Who said anything about killing? Mason drawled. We want the toy in 38F. Hand it over. Everybody walks. You know I can't, she said evenly. Won't, he corrected. Still married to the rules after they used you up and tossed you? After they wrecked your career for doing the decent thing? The barb landed, but she barely blinked. This isn't about you and me, Mason. Everything is about 5 years ago, he said. Outside, his jet eased closer, wing lights strobing the cockpit red-green. Raynor fought the urge to bank away. At this speed and separation, sudden moves could shred metal and lives with equal efficiency. Look, back off the wing, Nadia ordered into the mic, rank in her voice. You're endangering everyone. Negative, Viper, he said. You've got what we need. We can be gentlemen or not. She studied his ride. A civilian L-39 trainer butchered into a shark. Fast, agile, lethal hands. Fuel state, she asked Raynor quietly. Enough for London. Standard reserve. Maneuvering will eat it. He knows, she said. In back, Jenna smothered chaos. Starboard windows fill with predator shape. Whispers became panic. 38F went rigid around his bag. Carver edged nearer, voice low. Maybe hand it over, Carver told him. 200 lives. If they get it. Thousands, the courier hissed. Orbital collisions, dark defenses, chaos. Math's ugly, Carver said. Marjorie cut in softly. That woman, Nadia, she'll figure something. My late husband flew carriers. Same eyes when survival was a habit. Nadia returned to the cockpit, burning scenarios. Mason was aggressive, predictable in his impatience. Heading 270, she said. It's off course, Peters protested. Trust me, also bleed 10 knots, gradual. She was lining up a future son at their backs, getting nature on her side. Keep him talking, she added. Ask about fuel, airframe, build, anything to stall. And do not descend below 20,000. Back in coach, she planted beside the courier. Real name? Victor Klov, he breathed. Victor, listen, I know that pilot. He's dangerous and predictable. What exactly can the keys do? How long are they hot? And can you salt them? Delete segments that look intact but won't run. He swallowed. Maybe, layered crypto. If I trim right, they'll appear valid, but fail. Work, she said. Quietly. If they realize, they'll kill witnesses. The soldiers hovered. Staff Sergeant Malik Wilson stepped in. Ma'am, we're at your disposal. No weapons, but training. Good, she said. Organize passengers. Families mid-rows, away from windows. Identify medical issues. Prep for non-standard maneuvers. Roger. They moved, calm spreading in practiced ripples. The jet outside slid closer again, now on the port side. Too near. The helmeted pilot, visible as an anonymous threat. Traffic conflict. Rayner lied over intercom, strain showing. Nadia read the escalation. Probing, pushing, destabilizing. Mason's favorite staircase to a decisive shove. A woman 2 rows behind Nadia stood, moving toward the mid-cabin door. Carver rose, but she was quicker, flashing a sharpened metal shard. Lavatory salvage, not a firearm. Nobody move, she shouted, accent sanded but present. Panic rekindled, bright and raw. What do you want? Nadia asked, voice level. The codes, the woman snapped. Open the door once we're down to 10,000. They board. Take it. Leave. Open that door at this altitude and we all die, Nadia said. You're betting on mercy from a man who doesn't leave witnesses. Stay back, the woman warned, hand shaking. Nadia stepped anyway, measured and slow. He'll kill everyone, including you and Victor. That's who he became after. She stopped herself. After what? After I failed to stop him the first time, Nadia said. Truth curdled in her mouth. Gasps pricked the air. Carver even blinked. 5 years ago, our target intel was wrong. It wasn't a camp of fighters. It was families. I refused to engage. He didn't. I clipped his wing and forced him off. But 17 civilians were already dead. Command buried it. I got discharged for insubordination and striking a fellow officer. He vanished. The gap closed. Nadia twisted, disarmed, and Carver pinned the accomplice with zip ties from the emergency kit. Secure her aft, Nadia said. Use whatever keeps her planted. She hit the intercom. Situation contained. Stay seated. She knew that was fiction. Mason wouldn't stop with one gambit. He'd have multiples. The radio bled his voice through the open cockpit door. Nice hands, Viper, but this isn't a knife fight. Last chance. Hand it over. Light cracked past again. Closer. The sonic snap unmistakable. Not bluffing, Peters said, throat tight. Nadia grabbed the mic. Mason, you fire and the payload dies. Victor set a dead man's purge. Anything happens to us. The key's 0 eyes. Lie. Necessary and clean. She looked back. Victor read her lips, play along, and nodded. You're lying, Mason said. But uncertainty edged the word. Am I? You taught me contingency thinking, she said. Silence stretched. The hostile jet eased back a hair, still menacing, slightly less reckless. Here's your lane, Nadia said. We continue to London. You shadow at distance. We talk on the ground. Push this again. You get nothing. You don't give orders anymore, Viper, he said softly. You're nobody. Maybe, she replied. But I'm between you and your prize. Rayner and Peters watched her, waiting for cracks. Finally, Mason said, 1 hour. Convince me not to take what's mine. After what you cost me, I'm highly motivated for a bad ending. Yours. The radio went dead. The shark hung back, patient and close. I bought time, Nadia said. Not much. How far to friendly intercept? 90 minutes, Rayner said. She calculated. They needed 30 more. Peters lifted the headset. Military channel. Nadia heard Colonel James Harrison, Rampart Actual, her old CO, help inbound. Buy us 30, he asked. Roger, she answered. She handed the set back. Gentlemen, we're about to do flying your manuals don't love. You up for that? Rayner gripped the yoke. We're with you, Colonel. She wasn't anymore, but titles matter less than decisions when metal and lives are on the line. The countdown started. Nadia watched the Predator outside while her brain stacked options. Climb gradually, she told Rayner. Make it look like control issues, erratic but deliberate. Fuel burn, Peters warned. His too, she said. That airframe isn't long range. 2 hours shadowing already. He's thirsty. In the cabin, fatigue shifted to brittle quiet. Eli and June slid from sobs into stunned silence that worried parents more. Sarah whispered stories of brave nights to change the scenery in their heads. Victor sweated over his tablet, corrupting keys like threading needles blind. The zip-tied accomplice glared at Carver, fear and anger braided tight. He doesn't leave witnesses, she muttered. Then why help him? Because maybe my family got spared if I did. She stared at the dark shape outside. Hope and calculation rarely share a seatbelt. Staff Sergeant Wilson approached Nadia. We're ready. Good. Organize by rows. Window shades half up for instructions, half down to prevent panic. People who can assist seated near exits. Quiet goes further than shouting right now. He nodded and moved. Structure replaced helplessness. The jet outside snapped beneath their wing. Another shark surfaced. Where did that come from? Rayner blurted, forgetting the hot mic. Nadia reached the cockpit. The newcomer matched the first. Another modified trainer, tactics in stereo. He'd planned redundancies. Of course he had. Grey Wing 2 on station, a cool female voice announced. Hostiles on both flanks. Comply or suffer. You're begging mid-air collisions, Nadia warned. Only if you twitch, Mason said, enjoying his numbers. He'd memorized her lecture. Never fight without an advantage. Hold steady flight, she told Rayner. Start a very gentle descent. You said, I know, trust me. Position? She asked Peters. 200 miles southwest of Ireland, northeast bound. NATO help was close, not close enough. Harrison. 25 minutes out. They needed to steal minutes. Nadia grabbed the intercom. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Walters. We'll be doing unusual maneuvers soon to keep you safe. Follow crew directions exactly. To Rayner. On my mark, speed brakes, and drop the gear. Massive drag. Followers overshoot. We steal time. Doors could tear, Peters said. The 777 is generously engineered, Nadia answered. She watched Mason's jet hover hungry at their beam. He was getting impatient, always his tell. She steadied her breath. Timing would be everything, and margin would be razor thin. The cabin tensed, the way air does before a storm. Jenna braced her crew. Carver scanned for new trouble. Marjorie squeezed her rosary of paperback pages. Tom wrapped an arm around Sarah and the twins. Victor's fingers flew. Trim, save, decoy, every keystroke a tiny sabotage. Phew, mark, Nadia said. Rayner snapped speed brakes. Gear lever dropped. Drag ballooned. Their airspeed knifed. The flanking jets shot forward, suddenly ahead of the heavy 777. They'll circle back, Nadia said. We just bought minutes. Not enough, but more than none. Gear doors intact, Peters breathed. For now. Start a shallow climb, she said. Keep the Sunline building behind us. On the radio, Grey Wing 2 hissed. Cute trick, Mason chuckled. Always loved your timing, Viper. Then you know step 2's uglier, she said softly. Outside, the sharks arced to reform on their flanks. Fuel? She asked, mic covered. We're okay if we stop playing, Peters said. We're not stopping, Nadia replied. We still owe 30 minutes. Harrison's voice returned, closer, but the clock kept tapping its knuckles. Victor, Nadia called down the aisle. Status? Half the layers corrupted, he said, voice tight. Looks valid to a glance. Good. To Wilson. Keep families centered. Anyone prone to panic, seat them beside calm anchors. People absorb steadiness like warmth. Grey Wing re-slotted into position. 1 hour, Mason reminded. Tick-tock. You always hated waiting, Nadia said, stalling. Tell me you at least upgraded the L-39's tanks. Wouldn't you like to know, he purred, which sounded like confirmation in a different suit. You're running lean, Mason, she said. 2 airframes, aggressive profiles, long shadow. You brought a second jet because you knew you'd need relief. Silence answered. The kind that means a nerve has been touched. We land together, she continued, or you flame out trying. Don't test me, he said, heat returning. You already did, she replied. I'm still here. She cut the mic and nodded to Rayner. Hold this profile. Gentle weave. Keep them working. Work costs fuel. Outside, the predators wagged in annoyed lockstep. Victor swallowed. If they board, they'll notice the tamper. Then we make boarding impossible, Nadia said. Or pointless. Carver leaned closer. If it comes to hands, we've got ropes, carts, belts, and 4 trained soldiers, Wilson added. But we'd prefer not to brawl at altitude. Marjorie touched Nadia's sleeve as she passed. You'll get us there, she said, certainty warm and fragile. Nadia nodded once, thanks and promise packaged in a single motion. She felt the weight of every row, like medals she never wore. The intercom popped. Peters whispered, "Sun's nearly behind." "Good," Nadia said. "When it breaks the horizon, their eyes and sensors eat glare. We want their cameras blind, their depth perception lying." Rayner's hands were stone, his eyes busy. "Say when." "Gray wing flight," Nadia said. "You're flying into glare. Back off now." "We'll manage," Gray Wing 2 replied, brittle with pride. Mason laughed. "We've flown worse, Viper. Remember Red Flag? I remember you overpushing every sim and getting saved by luck." Light bled across the world's edge. The first blade of sun fired straight down the 777's spine. The two jets shimmered, momentary ghosts in their own wash. "Now," Nadia said. Rayner nudged pitch. Peters trimmed. The heavyliner moved like a patient cat, not a spooked bird. Outside, the sharks jittered, lenses flared, angles lied. "Adjust," someone muttered hot-mic'd from Gray Wing 2. "Hold," Mason snapped. Nadia felt the tiniest edge tilt their way. Small edges are how people land instead of memorialize. "Whoa, Rampart Actual," Peters murmured into the discreet channel. "We've bought 3. "Buy me 27 more," Harrison said dryly. "Working on it," Nadia answered, a smile ghosting despite the adrenaline. "You owe me a new manual appendix," Rayner muttered. "You can title it Don't." The cabin's fear settled into a humming dread. People will stand more than they think if someone holds the line for them. Wilson's men rotated reassurance shifts like a quiet watch. Jenna's crew refilled waters, refolded blankets, refocused eyes away from windows. Gray Wing swung wider, recalculating. Mason's voice returned, edged. "Enough games. Descend." "Negative," Nadia said. "We're staying where physics favors survival." "Then physics gets messy," he replied. The second jet edged in, daring. Rayner's knuckles whitened. His hands stayed precise. Nadia watched their spacing like a chessboard. "He'll feint port, then rake starboard," she told Peters. "Counter with a shallow right and a notched throttle pull. We want his closure rate to lie to him." "Copy," Peters said, trusting the map in her head. The feint came. Rayner flowed through the counter. The heavy jet moved with deliberate grace. The Predator overshot by a hair. "You're getting predictable, Mason," Nadia said, letting the needle slide. Nothing insults a hot stick more than being read out loud. Silence answered. Then a clipped reset. Gray Wing 2's voice cooled to professional ice. "Next pass tighter." "Tell me about your Civ Mill legal counsel," Nadia said, voice almost conversational. "Airspace, threats, liability. It's expensive paperwork when you stop pretending." "Cute," Mason said. "Still stalling. Still not handing over your courier." "He's not mine," she said. "He belongs to consequences." Victor, hearing his fate framed that way, kept typing. Code can become courage when fingers have nothing else to grip. "Status?" she asked quietly. 70% corrupted, Victor answered. "Enough to fail execution, even if they think they've won." "Good. Keep a clean breadcrumb that suggests intact layers," she said. "They need to believe until it's too late to change." The sun climbed. The shark's advantage shrank. "Fuel check," Nadia whispered. Peters did math. "If we keep this dance, we cross Ireland thin, Heathrow with fingernails." "We're not going to Heathrow," she said. "We're going wherever Rampart paints a protective umbrella first." The accomplice glowered from her tie-down. "He won't forgive you," she told Nadia. "He'll make an example." "He already did," Nadia said, voice quiet steel. 17 examples, 5 years ago. I've been paying since." The woman looked away, anger cooling into something like shame. Mason tried charm next, a theater he'd always oversold. "Walk away, Viper. Give us the drive. Take your hero badge. Tell yourself you saved 200. Live with that. And lose thousands," she said. "I've lived with enough already." Her words landed where she needed them. On Victor's resolve. "Rampart," Peters whispered. "ETA?" 20, Harrison replied. "We'll take 10, Nadia said. "Buy me 10, Harrison corrected. "Working," she answered, eyes tracking vectors. "Rayner, on my mark." A shallow S with a touch of rudder. just enough to wake their instruments. Achepwash, Mark. The big bird slalomed politely. The sharks twitched to match, burning micropints of fuel they'd wish they had later. Tiny thefts accumulate. It's how a smaller force steals victory from a bigger mouth. Jenna, Nadia called, review brace positions. Don't scare them, teach them. Knowledge shrinks fear. The crew moved. Calm instructors in a classroom you can't leave. Parents repeated steps to kids. Adults mouthed the motions. Hands learned without noise. The radio cracked. Grey Wing 2 snapped. Final warning. We're past warnings, Nadia said. We're in math. Your fuel solves to 0 before my resolve does. Mason snorted. You always did love speeches. You always did hate arithmetic, she replied. Raynor, bleed 5 knots, she said. Make them decide between spacing and pride. Outside, the sharks adjusted. Pride won. Again, spacing shrank, risk spiked. Nadia kept her voice steady. Sometimes leadership is pretending your insides aren't a fist. Victor, she asked, Dead Man Bluff ready? Yes, he said. Triggered by accelerometer or loss of cabin pressure. Fake indicators, real erase. Good, she said. We hope we don't need it. Hope is a thin parachute. Planning is the reserve. Mason's voice softened. A ghost of when they'd flown fingertip formation under desert stars. You should have taken the deal back then. You should have listened, she answered. I was trying to save you from yourself. You clipped my wing, he said. I saved lives, she replied. You ended my career, he said. You ended your own, she answered. The cockpit felt smaller. The past has a way of stealing oxygen. Raynor kept hands light. Peters watched numbers like they were rosary beads. We're at 15, Peters said. Minutes, not thousands. Rampart says 15, Harrison echoed. Keep buying. Nadia nodded, jaw tight. Raynor, notch left 2 degrees. Make them choose overlap or sanity. Outside, Grey Wing 2 cursed. Mason laughed without humor. You're not getting out of this clean, he said. Neither are you, she replied. You just don't know which stain sticks yet. The sun turned harsher. Glare became weapon, not ambiance. Little favors kept finding her side of the scale. In the rows, strangers held hands they hadn't known an hour ago. Fear knits people faster than introductions. Jenna's crew became metronomes, steady, repetitive, human. Wilson's soldiers checked latches, eyes, breathing. Carver watched 38DF like a quiet sentinel. Next trick, Raynor asked, half a smile. We don't have many left. We have enough, Nadia said. Enough doesn't feel like plenty. It feels like thread that somehow refuses to snap. She measured distances with a glance, like a carpenter who can smell square. Os. Grey Wing, she said, you're out of time to be smart. Look down, Mason replied, and see how far you'll fall if you're wrong. I've already fallen farther, she said. I'm still here. The second jet wobbled. Tiny, but there. Patience was eating them, not her. Rampart, 11, Peters whispered. Copy, Harrison said. Irish Air Corps vectoring. RAF scrambling. Keep that sky crowded in our favor. Aye, Nadia said, humor dry as desert. We're running a masterclass in time theft. Raynor exhaled, like laughing hurt. Another light streaked too close. A punctuation mark. Nadia didn't flinch. Victor's purge triggers if you hit us, she said. You get ash. The word ash landed heavy. Some things taste like finality when you say them right. 9, Peters murmured. Fuel? Still fine unless we play hero for too long, he said. We're not playing, Nadia answered. We're surviving with style. Mason sighed, the sound of a man whose easy plan found friction. Last time, Viper, he warned. You don't have the authority to refuse. Authority is a story people agree to, she said. I've got 200 people believing I can get them home. That'll beat your paycheck today. He said nothing. Silence isn't surrender. It's recalculation. The sharks widened, then tucked back again. The dance continued. Edges shaved, seconds pinched, fuel burned. 8, Peters said. Nadia's heart kept its drummer's beat. She remembered the first time she felt a jet become an extension of thought. The feeling hadn't left. Brace review again, Jenna called softly. People nodded before she finished. Repetition breeds competence. Competence breeds quiet. The cabin's panic had cooled to focused obedience. That's rare air, too. 7, Peters said. Rampart confirms, Harrison echoed. You've done well. We're not done, Nadia said. She eyed the sharks. Rayner, one more gentle S. Then hold. Let them chew their own tails. Outside, the jets nipped at mirage edges. Rampart, we'll need a corridor, Nadia said. Painting you one, Harrison replied. Irish Air Corps within 5, RAF 10. Nadia's shoulders loosened a degree. Hear that, Mason? The sky's getting crowded. We like crowds, he lied. Crowds mean witnesses and consequences. You always wanted an audience, she said. I wanted justice, he replied. You wanted absolution, she countered. Different beasts. The line hung. Some truths hum, even when radio static tries to eat them. 5, Peters said. Gray-wing jets adjusting, Rayner added. Their turns are wider. Fuel ghosts, Nadia said. They're stretching what they shouldn't. Outside, the sharks looked a hair slower, like predators deciding if the herd is worth breaking a leg over. If they bolt, Carver murmured from the aisle, what then? We land, Nadia said. We hand Victor to people who can finish scrubbing that poison. Victor didn't look up. He kept typing like the only rope left was the one in his hands. 4, Peters said. The sun was ablade now, cutting glare and caution both. Gray-wing 2 cursed again, hot miking frustration. Pride had teeth, but it also had a bladder. You can hear when it gets uncomfortable. Or 3, Peters said. Rampart, confirm. Confirm, Harrison replied. Eyes on you in 2. Nadia let herself believe the math. Not certainty. Probability trending. Rayner, hold course. No hero moves. We've stolen enough seconds to make a minute. Mason came back, tight. This isn't finished. It never is, Nadia said. But it's finished for today. She wished she believed endings were that neat. People who've flown through gray know tidy is a postcard, not a map. Vectors pinged on scope. Friendly spikes approaching. Gray-wing 2 hissed. We should peel. Stand by, Mason snapped. Pride and planning wrestled in his throat. He'd planned 3 contingencies. She'd eaten all 3 like bread. 2, Peters said. Irish Air Corps inbound. Rayner exhaled a laugh that sounded like a prayer. Jenna squeezed Rob's shoulder. Wilson grinned at his men. The cabin didn't know the exact math, but they felt the air change color. 1, Peters said. Rampart on station, Harrison announced. Eyes up. Copy, Nadia said, calm as a smooth approach. Gray-wing flight, she added. Welcome to a sky with referees. Enjoy your head start, Mason replied gravelly. We'll see each other again. Not if you run out of gas first, she said. Gray-wing 2 peeled wider, self-preservation finally trumping bravado. The first friendly blip slid into range, like a guardian you didn't realize you'd needed so badly until you saw it. The cabin murmured when nothing obvious exploded. Relief rarely looks like fireworks. It looks like breathing. Nadia didn't sag. Not yet. Hold profile, she told Rayner. Let the adults with missiles have the argument. Rampart, vector them off, she said. Professional as paperwork. Already painting, Harrison replied. RAF 2 minutes. Irish Will Shepherd. The sharks wavered. Victor, Nadia said softly. Seal the package. He tapped a final sequence like a lock clicking home. Complete, he whispered. Looks pristine. Fails on execution. Good, she said. You just outlived a very expensive plan. Carver gave him a nod that felt like a handshake he didn't have hands free to offer. Soko, Gray-wing 2 disengaging. A clipped voice announced, pride swallowed whole. Mason lingered like a ghost who hasn't realized he's dead. This isn't over, he said again, thin now that the math no longer flattered him. It is for today, Nadia repeated. She looked down the aisle, at Marjorie's damp eyes, at the Alden's tight embrace, at Wilson's steady stance, at Jenna's iron smile. She let herself believe in landing, just a little. On my mark, Nadia told Rayner quietly, we exhale together. The sun was up now, unambiguous, the sky filled with friendlies and consequences. The heavy liner held its lane, carrying 200 beating hearts, a pocket full of broken codes, and one pilot who stopped hiding. Mason's voice bled through the headset, patience gone. "Viper, you're wasting my time. Start down now, or we ventilate your bus." "Already easing," Nadia answered evenly. Instruments showed a barely perceptible 500 feet per minute drift, just enough distraction. In coach, Victor jerked upright, complexion ashen. "They're probing my tablet," he murmured. "Remote access attempt." Jack Carver slid closer. "Can they crack it?" "Not if I sever radios," Victor said, typing furiously. "But then, I can't finish corrupting." "How long?" Carver pressed. 10 minutes. Maybe 15. Carver looked cockpit-ward, then flipped his phone out of airplane mode. "If they want signals, let's drown them." He whispered to nearby rows, powering up every device they could muster, screens blinking awake. "Turn everything on. Phones, laptops, tablets. Make noise," Carver said. Marjorie Fowler brightened. "My grandson made me carry a travel hotspot. Will it help?" "Absolutely," Jack replied. "Broadcast it wide. Visible SSID." Within seconds, a digital haze flooded the cabin. Dozens of devices chirped to life, filling the air with overlapping pings. Victor's tablet disappeared into the swarm, one chirp among many. Outside, the portside predator crept nearer, visible to half the cabin, psychology hitting harder than metal ever could. Some passengers sobbed openly, others held strangers' hands, stunned into brittle silence. 20 minutes to help, First Officer Aaron Peters whispered. In air-to-air time, 20 minutes is a campaign. Nadia studied the second jet. Its steadiness felt automated, its corrections textbook, not instinctive. "Captain, study the wingman," she said. John Rayner squinted. "Constant geometry, exact spacing, like coupled to a computer." "Or a pilot who's never flown fingertip," Nadia muttered. A seed of strategy sprouted. She grabbed the PA. "In 30 seconds, brace positions. Precaution." Jenna Morales' voice carried aft. "Brace positions. Heads down. Feet braced. Parents folded over children. Soldiers coached the elderly." Carver checked ties on the accomplice. "What's this?" Rayner asked. "Chaos," Nadia said. She keyed the radio. "Mason, hydraulics dropping. We're losing altitude." A practiced tremor colored her tone. Credible, not melodramatic. "Don't run games, Viper," Mason snapped. "No games," she said, then to Rayner. "Now, boards in gear, full." He hesitated, then slammed levers. Drag hit like a wall. Alarms wailed. The nose hunted sky. Airspeed halved in moments. The jumbo's frame shivered. Both gray-wing aircraft rocketed ahead, caught flat-footed. Mason yanked into a punishing turn. The wingman lagged, ham-fisted corrections flirting with a stall before wobbling back. "Clean up, full thrust," Nadia commanded. Gear tucked, spoilers stowed. Turbines thundered. They'd traded altitude for time. "That was nuts," Peters breathed, fingers shaking. "That was the opener," Nadia replied. Mason reappeared, angrier, lines sharper. "Cute, Viper. You bled fuel and altitude. Keep that up, you'll swim." He wasn't wrong. The maneuver cost them. But she'd learned what mattered. The second pilot wasn't Mason's equal. "Victor, status," she called. 5 minutes. Maybe less. 5 minutes against 15 to cavalry. Bad arithmetic. Gray wing reformed, tighter. Weapons pods unmistakable now. Mason waggled his wings, a fighter's hello when he means goodbye. Nadia watched micro-hesitations in his jet. Tiny delays favoring the right side. She'd seen that tick before. "Captain, he's protecting an old shoulder injury. Hard G's slow him." "Oxt. How's that help?" Rayner asked. "He can't chain high-load turns without pain. Force repeats. Stack his lag." She switched to guard, informal. "Hey West, remember Kandahar? Dislocated the joint showing off to RAF?" Silence spread frost. 9Gs never healed right, did they? Mason's voice returned, glacial. "Ancient history." "Like the 17, she said, soft as a knife. "Say their names." "Don't," he snapped, dangerous. Nadia began, "Amara Hassan, 7, drew butterflies." "Shut up!" He rolled inverted and slashed overhead, wake hammering the cabin. Overheads yawned, bags thumped. Nadia's grim smile was small, emotion made pilots sloppy. "Gray Wing 2, hold," Mason barked. "I'm reposition." He cut off. Nadia saw why. Twin contrails spearing dawn, high fast, coming hot. The cavalry had burned gas to buy minutes. 15 minutes, Peters said, checking scope. They're supersonic, Nadia murmured. Mason moved aggressively to their nose. 10 minutes, Viper. Transfer now, or I end this. He parked 500 meters ahead, perfect line to their cockpit. Suicide before surrender. Oh, if you fire, they'll splash you, Nadia warned. Maybe, but you'll already be dead. You lost everything 5 years ago, she said. No, I took it back, he answered. In coach, Victor snapped his tablet shut. Done. Looks clean, fails 30 seconds after access. Jenna hustled the message forward. Rayner nodded. Patch me to cabin, Nadia said. He flipped a switch. Mason West, she said, voice writing both cabin and radio. This is your former CO. One chance, break off. You were a good pilot. Once a good man. That man died in Afghanistan, Mason replied. No, he made a terrible choice. 17 are gone. 200 are alive if you leave now. You can't restore the dead. You can save the living. The cabin held a collective breath. Strangers became a jury. You actually believe redemption? He asked, anger sliding to something raw. I have to, she said. Silence stretched as incoming fighters grew obvious. 10 minutes. Grey Wing 2 eased back, doubt nibbling. Then another voice, older, Texan gravel, cut through. Oi, Phantom, this is Longhorn. Stand down, son. Nadia knew that drawl. Colonel James Harrison, inbound. Major West, direct order, stand down, Harrison said. I'm not a major anymore, Mason rasped. You chose that when you squeezed, Harrison answered. Land Shannon. Face it like an officer. The wide body seemed to stop breathing. Mason's jet hung in front. Predator deciding. Then he banked left, almost gentle, sinking. Grey Wing 2, disengage, he said, defeated. The wingman dropped into cloud. Mason circled twice, waggled. Not a threat, a goodbye, a private click, an old, discreet channel. I'm sorry, Viper, Mason said, only for her. Before she could answer, he rolled, inverted, and vanished into cloud. Radar painting a track toward Shannon. In back, the dam broke. Sobs, laughter, prayers mingled. The Alden twins cried properly now. Tom and Sarah let tears come too. Carver released the accomplice to Irish authorities slated to meet the jet. Victor cradled a now useless payload, symbol heavier than silicon. Rayner's voice thickened. On course to Heathrow, 90 minutes. We're safe. 2 fighters slid alongside, a solemn escort home. Through glass, Nadia caught Harrison's weathered face behind a mask. He saluted. She returned it without entitlement, duty fitting her shoulders again. What now? Rayner asked. Saving 200 has to count. Dawn poured rose and gold across the Atlantic. Maybe, Nadia said, eyes on the horizon. But that's not why. Then why? Because it was right. Marjorie coaxed into the cockpit, voice trembling with gratitude. Others gathered. Alden's, Wilson's soldiers, Carver, Victor, thanks awkward and sincere. Nadia accepted, uncomfortable. Heroes are simply people who run toward fire when the map says away. She'd failed once. Today, she hadn't. At 37,000 feet, in a sky that had forgiven nothing, she'd found purpose again. Colonel Walker, Peters said. Old habit. Harrison asks if you'll speak. She took the headset. Rampart here. Outstanding work, Harrison said. When we land, certain folks can clear your slate. Sir, 5 years ago, leadership chose politics over truth, Nadia said carefully. Hotchkreis, you tried to stop a war crime and got punished. West committed one and slipped into shadows. That ends now, Harrison replied. What are you saying? Reinstatement if you want it. Full rank, back pay, new billet training counter-terror, and intervention. She watched the sunrise cut the sea into molten ribbons. I'll need time. You've earned it, Harrison said. She handed the set back and returned to 32B, between Marjorie and Daniel Burke, who finally looked up, awe softening his road warrior shell. Quite a ride, Marjorie said as Nadia sat. Despite everything, Nadia chuckled. You could say. My husband always said the best pilots fly for people, not headlines, Marjorie added. He sounded wise, Nadia said. He was. He believed in second chances. Nadia thought of Mason heading toward cuffs, of 17 lost and 200 breathing, of duty and choice. Not everyone gets one, she said. The jet droned east, clouds below glowed like hammered gold. Relief tasted like warm metal and coffee. Nadia's eyes closed, not to disappear, but to rest. The escort held steady, the 777 humming its promise. Yet unease whispered. Mason had folded too easily. Pride like his usually hides backup plans and deadman switches under its bed. In the cockpit, she studied radar with Peters. Intermittent pips at our 8, he said. Rayner leaned in. Birds at 30,000? Peters shook his head. Nothing biological flies this high. Nadia's stomach dropped. Drones. Mason left crawlers as he peeled. The first hit came, a metallic clack that shivered through the skin. Row 41's window seat shrieked. A dinner plate-sized spider clung to the wing, multi-legged, hugging aluminum against 400 knots of slipstream like a hateful starfish. Rampart, we have drones attached. Count 3. No, 4, Nadia radioed. We see them, Harrison answered. Can't shoot without risking you. Nadia's mind raced. They weren't bombs. Mason wanted systems. Victor, check for new chatter, she called. He blanched. They're trying a direct handshake. Aj's wireless bridge, he said. Bypass my corruption. Could they go physical? Rayner grimaced. 777 has external maintenance ports. If they reach a FMS line, they can steer us, Nadia finished. Simple, evil, effective, even captured, Mason's plan might complete itself. We need them off, Rayner said. We can't EVA, Peters groaned. Nadia eyed environmental controls. Cabin differential? 8 psi. Cycle outflow valves, fast pulses. Pressure waves along the skin might shake them, she said. Risky, Peters warned. Less than letting them fly us. She hit the PA. You may feel ear pressure. This is normal. Follow crew instructions. Jenna and team demonstrated Valsalva. Wilson's soldiers assisted elders. Ready? Rayner asked. Do it. Valves pulsed, open, closed, like the fuselage breathing wrong on purpose. Inside felt like an elevator sprinting. Outside, 2 drones skittered and flew, tumbling into blue. 2 held. 1 burrowed near the wing root. Victor stared at telemetry. It's probing through internal network. Heat, Carver blurted. Galley ovens, kettles, create hotspots. Jenna caught it. Coffee makers, ovens, everything full. Metal expands when heated. Structure sings when uneven. Thermal differentials plus pressure pulses, Nadia said. Do it. The galleys roared, temperature rose. The skin rippled minutely, enough for claws to lose certainty. Another drone peeled away, defeated by physics and housekeeping. The root clinger extended a filament, found something. In the cockpit, headings flickered. The big bird twitched off course. It's steering us, Rayner said, fighting. The navigation map pointed to a small Welsh strip. Nadia keyed Harrison. We need something unconventional. Wake turbulence over our wing route. Dangerous, Harrison said. At this speed, wake can bite. Safer than a hacked FMS. Trust me, sir, old times. I call shots. You fly the masterpiece. Roger. An F-15 slid up, then climbed above, parking forward with knife-edged precision. Captain, on my mark, bank left 15 degrees, not 14, not 16, Nadia said. Sweat dotted Rayner's hairline. Copy. Nadia watched geometry like a sniper studies wind. Mark. Rayner rolled left. Exact. The eagle dropped, its twin toroids of wake unspooling like invisible augers, drilling across their wing. The 777 bucked. Bins flew. Belts held. The root drone ripped free, pinwheeling into sunlight. Gone, Victor breathed. Screens steadied, heading, obeyed hands again. A cheer rolled the aisle. Jenna leaned against a galley door, relief loosening her shoulders. Poetry, Rampart, Nadia radioed. Back at you, Walker, Harrison replied. You always did major in impossible, with a minor in tidy. Rayner's smile faded at his fuel readout. We've got a problem. Maneuvers, valves, full thrust. We've overburned. Heathrow might be out of reach. Peters ran quick math. Shannon's closer. Nadia's gaze darkened. Where west is? Feels engineered. Either a trap or reckoning. Raynor chose. Divert Shannon. Declare minimum fuel. The jet canted toward Ireland. The radio crackled. Mason's voice, ground-latched. Flight 447, west here. Surrounded by about 50 badges. Before they haul me, 2 things. Raynor looked at Nadia. She nodded. Transmitting kill codes for any stragglers, Mason said. And I'm giving up Greywing. Names, methods, accounts. Why? Nadia asked. Because you were right. I can't resurrect 17, but I can stop today's count at 0. I'm tired of being your necessary monster. They've prepped a secure stand for you, no press. Medical and investigators only. Least I can do, he finished. The Irish coast appeared, green unwinding from morning mist. Do we trust it? Raynor asked. Choice is a luxury, Nadia said. We need that runway. Approach felt disarmingly normal. Controllers were steady, their voices the world's favorite lullaby. At 10,000, Nadia drifted back toward 32B. The cabin bloomed with post-crisis euphoria. Cards swapped, numbers traded, promises to meet again instead of goodbye forever. The Alden twins had gone quiet, processing like children do, internally, then in piercing questions. Was he really going to hurt us? Eli asked. Sarah hesitated. Nadia answered gently. He was broken and angry. At the end, he chose better. Sometimes that's everything. Like stories where villains change? June asked. Something like that, Nadia said, knowing reality rarely packs that neat. Marjorie scribbled in a small notebook. My grandkids will never believe this, she murmured. Nadia wasn't sure she would either, not tomorrow. Staff Sergeant Malik Wilson and his squad formed a quiet ring around Victor, who still hugged his tablet like a flag folded tight. A catastrophe had been sidestepped, a conspiracy, unspooled. Nearby, Anna Volov's shoulders sagged, coercion confessed, consequences coming. 5 minutes, Raynor announced. Cabin, prepare for arrival. Outside, eagles held close. On the ground, lights clustered. Ambulances, police, foam rigs, a glittering cordon. The touchdown was butter, Raynor's 30 years, smoothing metal and nerves alike, despite a day that warped both. As they taxied, the security footprint grew. Military trucks, Garda vans, paramedics staging. Ladies and gentlemen, Raynor said, voice hoarse, remain seated until authorities instruct. Your calm saved lives today. Thank you. Nadia spotted Mason between 2 patrol cars. Handcuffed, older. Their eyes met across heat ripples. He nodded once. Apology, acknowledgement, farewell compressed. Boarding began in order. Medics first, checking elders and kids. Investigators next, securing Victor's device, taking Anna into custody. Colonel Harrison arrived last, flight suit dusty with speed. He went straight to Nadia. Outstanding work, Colonel, he said loud enough for nearby ears. I'm not a colonel, sir, she replied. About that, Harrison said dry. Pentagon's been buzzing. Secretary wants a word. President's briefed. Today rewrites pages in a lot of manuals. Passengers deplaned in small groups, each story a thread for the tapestry to come. The Aldens paused. Tom shook Nadia's hand. Thank you feels small. Hug your kids. That's big, she said. Emma tugged her sleeve. Are you a superhero? Nadia knelt. No capes, just training and choices. You were brave too. As they moved on, Marjorie pressed a torn page into Nadia's palm. A note, she said. It read, she was lost and now found. Grounded. Today she flew. The cabin emptied. Carver clasped her hand, firm, grateful. If you ever need a reference, I'm a phone call. Victor lingered, flanked by intelligence officers. The plan was to slam a Chinese military satellite into the ISS, he said. Spark a war. The scale hit like altitude sickness. This night's stakes had stretched beyond metal and jet fuel into geopolitics and history. We didn't just save a flight, Nadia thought. We may have saved the fuse from reaching the powder room. Crew lingered last. Jenna and team hugged her in turn, relief laughing, tear salty. At the door, Captain Raynor unpinned his wings, the ones he'd worn 2 decades, and set them on Nadia's collar. These belong where duty and courage landed 200 souls. Ooh, I can't, she protested. You can, he said. In 30 years, I've never seen anything like what you did. You saved more than passengers. You kept aviation from being weaponized. On the tarmac, Harrison held out a secure phone. Someone wants a word. She expected a staffer. A young voice trembled instead. Ms. Walters, this is Amara Hassan. I'm named for my aunt, who died in Afghanistan. We were told terrorists did it. Today, we heard the truth. You tried to stop it. Thank you. Nadia couldn't speak at first. I'm sorry I couldn't save her, she managed. You saved 200 today, Amara said. She'd be proud. We are. The call ended. On the far apron, Mason was loaded into a secure van. Justice, delayed but moving. Officials in Washington, London, Beijing would be scrambling now, counting near misses measured in minutes and meters. Harrison stood beside her. Ready to come back? He asked. The Air Force needs you. Today proved it. Nadia looked at the scarred 777. Pusau. Yes, she said. On one condition. Name it. A civilian military liaison program. Commercial crews trained for edge cases. Military who understand airline realities. No more silos. Threats don't care about liveries. Harrison smiled. Already sketched. We're calling it the Walters Protocol. You'll run it. From disgraced to doctrine. Life's scales balancing oddly. Emergency lights dimmed. Operations crept toward normal. Nadia took one last look at their battlefield refuge. The plane investigators would soon dissect. For now, it stood as testament to ordinary people doing extraordinary, necessary things. A grandmother with a hotspot, a kid with questions that cut true, an ex-cop who refused to spectate, soldiers without rifles who still guarded, and a pilot who stopped hiding by stepping forward. Rides waiting, Harrison said. London, then Washington. One more stop, Nadia said. She approached Mason under guard. He looked up, regret mapping his features. Here to gloat? To promise testimony. For you, not against you, she said. You stopped when it counted. That should matter at sentencing. It doesn't erase anything, he said. No, she agreed. Maybe it starts something. She paused, half smiled. That inverted pass, you telegraphed it, still favoring that shoulder. Despite everything, he grinned. And you still spot everything. Some habits stick, she said. Others change. Returning to Harrison and the transport, Nadia felt peace. Imperfect, real. 17 ghosts would always ride shotgun. Now 200 living voices crowded in too. A chorus of breath that existed because people chose courage over fear. The military hop to London gave her 3 hours to let adrenaline drain. The cabin was bare bones. Harrison sat opposite, quiet. You should know, he said finally. China detected a satellite hiccup 17 seconds before we killed the drones. Nadia's gut tightened. How close? Their forces went to heightened posture. Minutes more, and we'd have seen counters spin. We might have prevented a global incident at 30,000 feet. One man's revenge had nearly opened a door whole government's fear. The families of those 17? Nadia asked softly. Pentagon's making personal notifications, Harrison said. With Mason's confession, truth replaces rumor. It won't resurrect, but answers way less than lies. The Thames glinted below. Silver threaded through a city that would soon ask questions. The president wants to pin a Medal of Honor, Harrison added. No, Nadia said reflexively. I want prevention, not medals. Walters' protocol changes a system that birthed Mason. Cover-ups, scapegoats, vanished accountability. That's the fight. I'll need allies. You've got one, Harrison said. The jet kissed RAF Northolt tarmac quietly, away from Heathrow's fever. A black convoy waited. So did a familiar uniform, Jenna Morales, eyes tired, determined. Before the meetings swallow you, she said, 200 of us want our voices counted. Jenna stepped from the convoy, uniform rumpled, resolve bright. Before briefings swallow you, she said, pressing an envelope into Nadia's hands. 200 names, emails, numbers, witnesses who won't let this vanish into classified shadows. That's not necessary, Nadia began. Jenna shook her head. It is. You showed us courage isn't theatrical. It's deliberate. We'll testify, together. Inside, tidy pages. Marjorie's handwriting, Wilson's squad, the Aldens, Carver, Victor. Every thread from the night. The cabinet office thrummed with uniforms and suits. British vowels crossing American consonants. Nadia briefed cleanly. Pilot plane, timelines, decisions, margins, why certain risks beat the alternatives. Questions came rapid. She answered without flourish. A flight plan, not a speech. Captain Rayner? The UK Defense Secretary asked. John described cockpit workloads when threats aren't listed in manuals. How clarity from a single voice steadied 1,000 moving parts. Coordination beats heroics, he finished. We need shared language before shared skies. The U.S. Secretary leaned forward. Walters Protocol, define it. Nadia outlined phases, airline crews trained in basic threat assessment, military liaisons embedded at hubs, joint drills, anti-drone hardening, authenticated comms, deconfliction scripts, legal corridors enabling action without panic. And culture, she added. Break silos. Shared reps build trust. The threat doesn't care what's painted on the fuselage. Skeptics cited cost, jurisdiction, ICAO complexity. The room quieted. Last night's timeline stared back. Rebuttal etched in near catastrophe. 3 days later, inside Dublin's secure wing, Mason sat smaller than his legend suggested. Orange erased swagger. Regret wrote lines where bravado once lived. You came, he said, surprised. I said I would, Nadia answered, sitting across steel. Why stand down? She asked. Not speeches, not Longhorn's order. You had options. Mason stared at his hands. Remember the fruit kid outside the wire? Ahmed, his sister. Amara was one of the 17. I saw those twins and couldn't repeat it. Your plan would have killed thousands, Nadia said. You told yourself chaos fixes systems. He nodded. Watching you shield them, I realized I'd become exactly what I hated. He swallowed. Tell that family, the twins, I'm sorry for everything. A week later, the Senate chamber buzzed. Press, brass, civilians. Chair Patricia Williams opened with an apology stitched from institutional contrition. 5 years ago, we failed you. Effective immediately. Your record cleared, rank restored, back pay authorized. Applause broke rules of decorum. Marjorie dabbed tears. The Aldens held handmade, Colonel Walters is our hero shirts. Thank you, Nadia said simply. But I'm here for prevention, not vindication. She described that night, then the gaps that fed it. Rayner testified next. Calm authority, pilot exactness. Train the cockpit for edge cases. Give us a hotline that answers in one ring. Victor followed, under immunity, explaining how thin the membrane is between avionics and bad intentions with right tools. The most piercing testimony came from Sarah Alden. My kids asked if the bad man would hurt us, she said. Then Colonel Walters stood, and I knew we'd be okay. We need systems that don't depend on miracles. The committee voted unanimously, funding greenlit, timelines aggressive. Outside, cameras flashed. Inside, staffers drafted memos, turning urgency into line items. Nadia exhaled, only when she saw Wilson fist bump Jack Carver like teammates after a hard-won away game. 6 months later, Colorado's high sun lit the Joint Aviation Defense Center. Simbays pulsed light. Airline captains ran scenario cards with fighter pilots shadowing as coaches. Remember, Nadia said, we protect the same passengers. Tactics follow empathy. Jennifer now wore an instructor's badge, eyes brighter than fluorescent panels. Coffee makers and calm voices saved us, she told cabin crews. Write that into procedures. Small tools, big purpose. Photos lined walls. Not glamour, cooperation, galleys, jump seats, faces. A buzz pinged Nadia's phone. Marjorie, first copies off the press. All proceeds to Afghan families. Dedication, to the woman who taught us to fly without wings. Another ping. DOJ. Mason West, sentenced 25, parole possible at 15. His cooperation hauled mercenary outfits into daylight. Accounts seized, shell firms named, recruiters indicted. From prison, he'd started letters. Awkward apologies to families. Evidence to prosecutors. Redemption wasn't absolution, but he'd stepped onto that rough road. Evening's shadow cooled the observation deck. Contrails crossed like stitched seams. General Harrison, 2 stars now, joined her. China wants in, he said. So do Europeans, Canadians, even Russians. The Walters Protocol's going global. Good, Nadia said. Threats already were. One more thing, he added. The president scheduled the Medal of Honor. Nadia started to object. I'll accept, she said instead. Only if the crew and every passenger stand with me. It's ours or not at all. 3 weeks later, the rose garden glowed, hedges trimmed like parade rest. The medal's ribbon felt heavy, real. The applause that mattered rose after. 200 voices, crew and passengers, hands loud as rotors, gratitude bigger than ceremony. Little Emma sprinted from the crowd, hugging Nadia's legs. Still not a superhero? No capes, Nadia said, kneeling. Just people being brave when it counts. Emma grinned, gap-toothed and fierce. Somewhere, a camera caught courage, learning its shape. At the edge, a young woman in blues waited, academy-creased. Colonel Walters, I'm Lieutenant Sachin Patel, she said, nervous and bright. First official student in the protocol's advanced course. I joined because you showed right beats easy. Nadia saw a younger version of herself, idealism sharpened by intent. Welcome, she said. Up there, we're guardians and neighbors. Ready to learn? Yes, ma'am, Patel said. The future clicked like a harness. Secure enough to try hard things. Dusk painted Washington crimson and gold. Nadia looked over faces. Marjorie, Wilson's squad, the Aldens, Jack, Jenna. Threads woven into something durable. The Walters Protocol wasn't just procedures. It was permission to collaborate fast, human first. Days became weeks of building. Curriculum drafted, simulators tuned, airline MOUs signed. Engineers iterated anti-drone pods. Avionics vendors shipped authenticated gateways. Airports rehearsed joint scrambles. Bureaucracy bent, then moved. The near-catastrophe's heat powered reforms. In Colorado, Nadia ran a combined sim. Rogue trainer pacing a widebody, cabin crews executing calm chaos, controllers handing to military liaisons without friction. Debrief circled mistakes and sharpened them into muscle memory. Failure rehearsed became success later. Letters arrived from unexpected corners. Controllers in Dublin, a tech at Heathrow, a sheriff near Shannon. Your checklist saved my day, one wrote. More importantly, it saved my temper. Practical thanks wears steel toe boots, not parades. A video call blinked open. ICAO panel, skeptical eyes warmed by evidence. Your liaison pattern respects sovereignty, a French air marshal admitted. It also shortens our worst minutes. Nadia nodded. Trust buys time, time buys options, options buy lives. Back in D.C., a subcommittee bickered budgets. Marjorie, now a reluctant media pro, testified with notebook in hand. We used coffee makers and courage, she said. Give crews training and partners. Don't make prevention a charity auction. Jack told his part. Phones as jammers, calm as weapon. Wilson detailed crowd organization without rank. Victor, thinner and steadier, explained layered corruption, how you leave traps inside traps for bad actors hunting shortcuts. The bill passed with actual bipartisan smiles, rare weather. Funding moved to airports and airlines, grants tied to drills, liaisons posted where delays once nested. We turned panic into protocol, Harrison said. File that under miracles that aren't. Dublin, 3 months on, Nadia kept her promise, testifying at Mason's hearing. He stopped when it mattered, she said under oath. That choice should count. The judge nodded, notes careful. Accountability and mercy sat at the same bench. Outside, press swarmed. Nadia slipped through a side door. Mason's attorney approached. He asked me to thank the family with twins, she said. Nadia texted Sarah Alden. The reply came quick. Tell him we heard, we'll try to believe. Back at the center, Patel aced a brutal scenario, eyes bright with that pilot glow, thinking extending through hands. Remember, Nadia told the class, precision isn't cold, it's compassion delivered without delay. Heads nodded, checklists flipped. Competence thickened the air. A wire came from Beijing, translation polished but earnest. We regret misinterpreting satellite anomaly. New hotline active, drills scheduled. Nadia printed it, pinned to a corkboard titled Proof People Can Grow, next to a crayon butterfly from Emma. The White House sent a follow-up. Documentary proposals, interviews, talk shows. Nadia declined most. Tell the crew and passengers' story, she told producers. My part is systems. Some listened, others didn't. She focused on the people who did. In a quiet moment, she visited Arlington, row on row of white stones. She whispered 17 names, finishing with, "I didn't forget." The trees held wind carefully. Grief felt different alongside purpose. Less paralyzing, more directional. A surprise visitor arrived at the center. Sarah Alden with Eli and June. "Field trip," she said. The kids clambered into a sim, wide-eyed. Nadia let them fly, gentle hands over plastic. "Feet flat, heads up," she said, winking. Eli asked the question that bounces. "Will something like that happen again?" "Threats evolve," Nadia said. "So will we. We'll be ready sooner next time. Courage isn't your chest puffed. It's your checklist ready and your team briefed." A call from ICAO, the protocol named Official Best Practice, annexed to global standards. Airports plotted liaison desks. Airlines rewrote emergency chapters. Militaries built soft walls where hard ones once made enemies instead of partners. At night, Nadia sometimes replayed the inverted pass, the drones, the pressure pulses. She'd feel the yoke again under Rayner's hands, hear Jenna's calm, see Jack lighting phones like vigilant fireflies. She'd breathe, then sleep. Margaret's book launched quietly, sales louder. Reviews called it a manual for ordinary bravery. All profits flowed to families in Afghanistan. A ledger bending towards something fairer than silence. Margaret mailed Nadia the first signed copy, ink looping strong. The Walters Protocol's first graduating class posed for a photo. Airline epaulets beside flight suits, mechanics grinning between doctors and dispatchers. Nadia refused the center spot, standing shoulder to shoulder. "It's not about the person in front," she said. On a runway walk, she and Harrison met a new liaison team. Former controller, ex-air defense officer, senior purser, airline safety lead. "We'll fail together in sims," Nadia told them. "So we don't fail together in life." A Gartner-looking report landed, ROI of prevention. Minutes shaved, events deterred, confidence restored. Numbers, dry as toast, hid beating hearts saved. Nadia circled a line. Passenger Trust Index up 12 points. Confidence is seed corn. Community colleges added modules for ramp crews and gate agents. "You see things first," Nadia told them over Zoom. "Trust your spine. Report patterns. You're the early warning radar for the rest of us." Screens tiled, nodding heads lit blue. An airline union asked for input. Contract clauses recognizing Walters' drills as paid time, not volunteer extras. Wins like that felt solid. Culture cements when time and money honor what mouths claim matters. A tech startup demoed a compact anti-drone emitter. "No silver bullets," Nadia cautioned. "Add it to layered defenses. Layered solutions beat single-point heroics. That's true in code, airspace, and people." The team nodded, scribbling. News broke. Several mercenary heads arrested in Prague, Dubai, Lagos. Mason's dossier bearing fruit. Nadia read the headline without glee, only relief. Consequences create space for fewer copycats and more second thoughts mid-escalation. A mother from the flight sent a photo, her elderly father meeting Emma and June over pancakes. They wanted to see a sunrise together. The caption read, "Ordinary rituals are where survival turns into living again." At a Denver conference, Nadia opened not with heroics, but with checklists. "Stories fade, systems endure," she said. "Tell the story only to recruit allies to the system." Then she showed the cabin time heat map. Engineers leaned forward. Patel briefed an unruly class, unflappable. "You'll want to freelance," she warned. "Don't. Freelancing is panic in a tuxedo. Follow the plan, adapt at edges, return to plan." Laughter, then notes. The right laugh makes discipline palatable. The medal toured schools with the crew's consent, a mobile exhibit explaining coffee makers and courage, phones and pressure pulses. Kids touched the ribbon, then wrote pledges. "I will stay calm. I will help. I will listen." Nadia visited Shannon again. Quiet, rain sheen on tarmac. She walked the apron where she'd saluted Harrison and watched Mason enter a van. The place felt smaller now, the risk larger, the lesson permanent. She mailed a note to Amara Hassan. "We didn't forget," it read. "Your aunt's name hangs in our briefing room. When we choose right under pressure, it's partly because she deserved better." A late-night call. An airline executed its first Walters drill during a real comms outage. No panic, liaison online, temporary escort, safe diversion. We trained for the weird, the captain wrote. When weird came, we recognized it. Nadia taught a module titled Quiet Leadership, how to be the steady voice when everyone's pulse spikes. Authority is borrowed, she said. Return it improved. She saw heads lift, pilots, pursers, mechanics, schedulers. Everyone owns a moment. The president signed an executive memorandum knitting agencies into the protocol, cutting red tape that once strangled urgency. A minority objected, then read after-action reports and softened. Results make friends, stubborn arguments can't. Media tried once more to make Nadia the brand. She redirected cameras to Jenna, to Rayner, to Carver's gruff smile, to Wilson's squad, to Margaret's ink-stained hands. Hero worship is gravitational. She preferred orbits that include many moons. A final letter arrived from Mason, filtered through counsel. You told me accountability and mercy can coexist, he wrote. Prison is accountability. Your testimony was mercy. I'm learning the difference, slowly. She filed it under in-process humans. At the center's anniversary, 200 names appeared on a wall, not casualties, contributors. The inscription below, penned by Margaret. In the sky, we are all connected. In danger, we are family. In courage, we learn to fly. Nadia traced the engraving with a fingertip, then returned to the sim bay where a new scenario waited. Fresh threats, updated scripts, another chance to practice the muscle of calm action in rooms that smelled of coffee and commitment. Closing keynote, she asked a question instead of giving an answer. If using your skills meant confronting your worst failure, would you step forward? The room stilled. Build systems where the answer becomes easier to say yes. After, Emma found her again, taller now, braces flashing. I'm joining Civil Air Patrol, she said. Nadia beamed. I'll send a checklist. No capes? Only reflective vests, Nadia said. They laughed. Survival had matured into momentum. As twilight laid lavender over the Rockies, planes stitched paths across a faithful sky. Airline call signs, squadron codes, cargo tails, each a thread. The Walters protocol didn't make the world safe. It made people better at protecting each other. Nadia stood on the deck, wind cool, metal put away, checklist laminated by time. Somewhere a gate agent spotted a pattern and spoke up. Somewhere a captain called the liaison and felt a hand grasp back firmly. She breathed in jet-fueled tang and pine. The night hummed with engines and intent. We'll be ready, she said to no one and everyone, turning toward the lighted hallway, where another class waited to learn courage without capes. And on a desk in London, Margaret wrote the final line of her epilogue, the one that would become the protocol's quiet motto. In the sky, we are connected. In danger, family. In courage, we all can fly. Lesson 1. Courage still matters. On a red-eye many of us have taken, Nadia chose the middle seat and the harder road. When danger closed in, she stood up, not for medals, but for people. For those of us over 65, it's a reminder, grit and calm can still change outcomes. Lesson 2. Community saves lives. Passengers, crew, a retired cop, even a frightened courier. Strangers became a team. Coffee makers, checklists, and steady voices beat panic. The takeaway is simple and hopeful. When ordinary folks link arms, the extraordinary becomes possible. Friends, what part of this flight spoke to you most? The quiet courage of one woman, or the way a cabin full of strangers became a community? If you've lived long enough to see storms pass and return, how have teamwork and calm made a difference in your own life? On the road, in a hospital waiting room, at church, or during a family emergency? Share your story below. Please tap like, leave a comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel so more people, especially our seniors, can learn practical ways to stay safe, steady, and prepared.